I am not gonna lie. I have missed you guys. I'm sorry I've been away, but sometimes you just gotta do some family stuff. It is so great to be back. I am so glad to see you. And with that, I say the following. Hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. Welcome to the Thursday night session of Chattin on the Porch, a live stream that we get together through the week and do, talking about the news, trying to figure out what the heck is going on in the world, what the heck it all means, and what the heck are we going to do about it, if we can do anything. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please, if you wouldn't mind, do me some favors. Number 1, share the link. Number 2, subscribe to the channel. Number 3, hit the thumbs up. Number 4, leave a comment below. Do all that happy stuff that helps me grow this going little concern into a going big concern of a channel. We would really appreciate it. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes known as the common man with common sense. On occasion, I'm referred to as the beau in the chapeau. I'm sometimes referred to as the wise man in the wide brim. But above all else, I am one thing, and that is your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. So please, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're not currently a subscriber. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up. I would really, really appreciate it. Share the link around. Tell your friends out there on Gettr, Gab, Truth Social, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you are out there on social media. Tell them to hurry up and get in here. We're going to be talking about all kinds of fun stuff. Now, if nothing else, I'm making my triumphant return to the internet. Well, not really my triumphant return, just back from a couple of days off of needed family things that I had to do. Good to have you guys here tonight. Settle in, pour yourself a cup of something. Let's sit down, let's talk about what's going on, see if we can't figure it all out. So good to have you guys here tonight. Oh, goodness me. Who all's here in the house? Gypsy's here already. Are the wing nuts okay? It's been a few days. I was kind of wondering the same thing because, the wing nuts over on Rumble, if you don't give them love and attention, man, I don't know. It gets kind of crazy on you. Just gets kind of crazy. See, who else is here? TBA dipped in, dipped back out, says he'll be back soon. Okay. Well, we'll just kind of linger right here, TBA, and kind of, la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, looks like the audience is starting to settle in on the YouTube side. We'll see who's the first chatter to drop a comment. We'll see who be out there. Good to have you guys here. Been gone for a couple of days, dealing with some family stuff. Nothing really bad. Just had to help my mama get through a surgical procedure. Good evening, my dear. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. WWG1's in the house over there on Rumble. Yes. See. All right. TBA is back. All right. Very good then. Very good. Glad to have you guys here. And got a nice little collection of stuff to talk about tonight. And I'm going to get into something that I don't know that anybody out there in social media is talking about right now, but I'm starting to find a whole string of dots, and I'm starting to put them together, and I'm coming to a very interesting conclusion. TBA over on Rumble says, hope Mama is doing very well, actually. After I finish the live stream tonight, I'll be going to visit her just to kind of make sure some things are in good order, as we go forward. She had a procedure to remove some just excess over her eyes, and just trying to get her through the all of that good stuff, which she's doing fine. I mean, her eyes are fine. She's what have you. It's just getting her past all the stuff with the procedure. And good evening, Miss Gypsy. And I say to you, mwah, hello, darling. Yes, Mama is fine. Her son is fine. Well, her son is crazy, but that's neither here nor there. Anywho, I've been noticing something lately, and I want to get into a discussion with you guys about it because I really think there's something going on here and nobody's picking up on this yet. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am, being slightly conspiratorial, which you guys, if you've been around my channel long enough, you guys know me. I tend to try to avoid that sort of thing. Not that I think that conspiracy is necessarily a bad thing. It's just that sometimes, I can go down I myself can go down a rabbit hole chasing something and it leads me nowhere. But this one, I don't know that I'm that far afield. Good evening, Ms. Rhonda. TBA says, Brian has been on since Monday, right? That is correct, sir. That is correct. And a lot has been going on. So with that, let's get into my subject of the evening. Now, right now, there is much angst on the political right about the rise of Kamala Harris. I mean, y'all saw the latest cover of Time magazine. Look at that. Look at that, looking awe-inspiring and looking upward and looking it's her moment. An article written by Charlotte Alter, which I don't know if that's Jonathan's wife, daughter. I don't know if there's any family connection to the writer Jonathan Alter that I'm familiar with anyway. But yes, Kamala's holding rallies and Kamala's out there, getting thousands of people to, chant, her name and show up at rallies and stuff like that and on and on and on. And the press is just fawning over her and just, oh my God, it's the season of joy. Or, if you're from a certain era, it's the season of loving. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, I'm showing my age on that one, but you get the general idea. Okay. And, and the polls have tightened up. There's no denying that. Some people are arguing that Trump is on his back foot right now. Okay, maybe. We'll see. Yet to be determined. We're now down to just a little over 80 days until the election. Ballots are going to start going out in September and all that happy stuff. Debates have now been agreed to. On and on and on it goes. But ladies and gentlemen, I have come to the conclusion that there is a problem in Democrat land. And right now you're not seeing it because everybody's just going over Kamala. Okay. And, the press and the Democrat Party are trying to get America to engage in one gigantic collective cacklegasm. But there's a problem. There is a saboteur afoot. There is a stinkweed in the garden. There is a malcontent among the masses. There is, whatever analogy you want to use. I'm coming to the conclusion that there is a decided effort that's very quiet. It's very subtle. There's a very quiet, desettled, but very determined effort afoot to torpedo Kamala's campaign from inside the Democrat Party. Now, before you all sit there and start asking me the question, am I back on the sauce? Which no, I'm not. I'm not drinking when I state this theory of mine. I've got some evidence, but I need to kind of set this up. I need you guys to work with me on this one because this takes a little bit of context to understand where I'm going with this. So with that, I want to take you guys back in time to the waning days of the Biden campaign. Okay. We're talking probably the first 3 weeks of July of this year. President Biden had the absolutely disastrous debate performance. And everybody in the Democrat Party is absolutely. There's nothing wrong with Joe Biden. Joe Biden goes out and gives an interview with George Stephanopoulos. It just makes it even worse. He gives an interview with Lester Holt. It just makes it even worse. Democrats are out there trying to defend him. You got Chris Coons, who's the co-chair of the Biden campaign. He's like, hey, this is one of the most significant presidents in American history. You've got Chuck Schumer out there. We're with Joe all the way, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, on and on it goes. And in the meanwhile, in the background, you had stories like this. Biden campaign co-chair pissed off at donors for withholding contributions to the president. And there was a lot of this going on. There were big-time Democrat fundraisers who were saying, hey, I'm not giving a dime to the Democrat Party as long as Joe Biden's nominee. And you got fundraisers and bundlers out there saying, you guys are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. How can we raise money if you guys are withholding? We can win this thing, da-da-da. I kept saying at the time, Joe Biden was under siege, but Joe could hang on to this thing, that he wasn't going to get out. All he had to do was hold out till the vote of the delegates at the end of July. That's all he had to do. Okay. And I was steadfast in this. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I wavered a little bit every so often. I'd be like, no, I don't know. It's not going to happen. Joe's got all the cards in his favor. All he had to do is just hang on. And then my baby, she wrote me a letter. Yeah, Rhonda, now you've got another song to get stuck in your head. Da 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 da. Ain't nothing I gotta say. Oh, my lonely days are gone. I'm coming home. My baby, she wrote me a letter. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. See, I'm more than a pretty face. We got the letter. July 21st, Biden announces he drops out of the race. And a letter that is weird looking. Okay. TBA says, don't quit your day job. WWG wants to, or your evening job. Thanks a lot, you guys. Jeez. Friends like this, who needs enemies? Damn. Anyway. Yeah, it's not Joe's signature. The letter looks as shady as all get out. Okay. But it announces that, that he, and while it's been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it's in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties for the remainder of my term. Now, notice the words he used. Stand down. Okay. Joe Biden was standing down. Now, I want to go to a clip of Joe Biden sort of explaining himself on this, okay? So he gets asked about this, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days ago in an interview that aired on CBS. As always, guys, give me a sound check, okay? Let me know if this thing's playing okay. And with that, here's Joe Biden's explanation behind the letter.
I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did someone, and I thought it'd be a real distraction.
Now, that's his explanation. Get out of the race. Don't want to be a distraction. People are saying that, yada, yada, yada. All right. Just making sure there's nothing else here that I want to touch on. Okay. Sound is good. This is all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, TBA. Appreciate that as well. So Joe Biden explains he doesn't want to be a distraction. There are Democrats coming to him saying, look, we're worried about the down ballot races. I thought I could win and be razor close, but people thought it might hurt the ticket. Therefore, I stepped down. Okay. Now, that's the sanitized version of what happened. Let's get to some other stuff. Let's go back to the letter for a second, okay? I want to play you a clip from Speaker Emeritus Nancy Pelosi, Okay. And she's talking about this letter that Joe wrote that was posted on the internet. Listen to this.
I didn't accept the letter as anything but a letter. I mean, there are some people who were unhappy with the letter. Let me say that some said that some people were unhappy with the letter. I'll put it in somebody else's mouth because it was I don't even know, it didn't sound like Joe Biden to me. It really didn't. But
it didn't sound like Joe Biden. Oh, come on, Front Porch. You said you weren't going to get into conspiracy theories here. Now you're starting to sound like you're going down the garden path. No. No. Consider the information that has come out since Joe Biden resigned from the race, not the office of the president. Okay. Just since he dropped that letter and he got out of the race. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, there are right now a hell of a lot, and I do mean a hell of a lot of recriminations inside the Democrat Party. Okay. Joe Biden is a very angry man. Now, the other day, Donald Trump dropped a comment on Truth Social saying pretty much that. Joe Biden is angry. He's angry at Nancy Pelosi. He's angry at Obama. He's angry at everybody that he feels pushed him out of the race. As a matter of fact, in Trump's opinion, Joe Biden may hate them more than Joe Biden hates Donald Trump. Okay, look. Maybe Donald Trump was trolling in that moment. Maybe he was trying to get everybody stirred up, as only Donald Trump can do. But I don't know that Donald Trump's that far from the truth on this one. If you don't believe me, take a look at some of the following. Top Biden advisor absolutely blames Nancy Pelosi for tanking the president's campaign, says Democrat donors ignored the will of the voters. Okay. Top advisor to President Biden is absolutely blaming House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi for tanking his reelection and accusing Democrat donors of ignoring the will of the party's primary voters in swapping out for Vice President Kamala Harris. Anita Dunn, a White House senior advisor on communications who has since departed for a Harris super PAC, inveighed against Biden doubters in Congress and elsewhere in her first interview since the 81-year-old president dropped out of the race. Quote, clearly there were leaders of the party who decided to go very public, and that gave permission to others to go public. Dunn told Politico of the growing chorus of Democrats calling on Biden to abandon his run after his debate flop on June 27th. Asked whether she was referring to senators and House members as well as Nancy Pelosi goes on TV twice when things feel like they're dying down and reopens the debate, Dunn shot back. Absolutely. Pelosi and other senior congressional Democrats casting down on Biden's candidacy were, quote, key moments that Anita Dunn claimed that kept the Biden campaign from reaching a point where we would fight our way through it. Now, I got to say something here, okay? I think Anita Dunn's onto something. Because remember how this went down. Biden, the debate happens. Biden is doing what, I think anybody would do. Probably if I were advising him, I would have told him to do. Just sit tight and let the storm ride out. And probably about a week or 10 days after the debate on June 27th, that's exactly what was happening. This thing was starting to die down. Then Nancy Pelosi goes out on Morning Joe and says, well, sooner or later, the president's got to make a decision about whether he's going to get out of this race. And, I wish he would make it soon. And all of a sudden, boom, this thing blew up again. Okay. Absolutely blows up. And then the pressure starts to ratchet. And then you got Hakeem Jeffries saying, well, I've had a discussion with the president. This was after the NATO conference. Okay. Press conference. And you got Chuck Schumer going up to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Then you got, Democrats publicly coming out, sending letters to the president trying to get him out. So had it not, I think Anita Dunn's onto something here. Had it not been for Nancy Pelosi, okay, Biden may still be in this thing. Okay. Yeah. And that's what they kept claiming. And I think in one sense they may have been right. But all Biden had to do is wait this thing out. Okay. Now, I'm about to get to a conclusion here, so just hang with me for just a little bit longer. Okay. So you got Biden people saying that, I can't believe they did this. Then you've got headlines like this one: top Dems threaten to forcibly. Now here's the kicker. Top Dems threatened to forcibly remove Biden from office unless he dropped out, set him up to fail at the Trump debate. This is a story by Isabel Vincent. Now, I bring this up. She's one independent reporter. She's I shouldn't say independent reporter. She's working for the New York Post. But she's reporting the same information independent of the legendary Seymour Hersh. Both of them, through their individual sources, have and they are reporting this. They feel it's solid. They've got two different stories out. This is one. Seymour Hersh has this on his Substack account. That Kamala Harris and other congressional Democrats basically greenlighted Obama to go to Biden and say, look, either you get out or we're going to invoke the 25th Amendment and we're going to put you out. So it's with that, Biden gets out of the race. Now, okay. But on his way out the door, well, okay, I can understand that. But I will say this. Seymour Hersh is an equal opportunity offender, okay? Right now, he's pissing off Democrats royally over the past few years. The story on the Nord Stream pipeline about the CIA's potential involvement and what happened with its destruction, among a whole host of other things. I mean, Seymour's been pissing off everybody for going on 50 years. He knows how to do it. But I can understand how you feel, dear. So Joe Biden is, according to two separate reporters, forced out. But before he goes out the door, he does something that no one quite expects him to do. Okay. On the same day that he resigned from the race, he immediately endorsed Kamala Harris. Now, let's back up for a second. All right. Because you got to kind of remember the dynamics of what was going on here. A lot of people felt, and it was reported, by the way, that former President Obama, if Joe Biden got out, wanted to see kind of a very compressed primary. Okay. In the end, most people felt that Barack Obama would have liked to have seen someone like a Mark Kelly at the top of the ticket. And there's a reason for that. The reason he wanted a Mark Kelly as opposed to Kamala Harris gets very simple. According to reports, Obama did not believe that Kamala Harris could beat Trump. And up to a certain point, Obama had not endorsed her. As a matter of fact, if you think about it for a second, Obama was the last person to endorse Kamala among the bigwigs of the Democrat Party. Okay. Well, there's a reason it's theorized that Joe Biden did this, and that gets to this story, and this is the last of the setup, so just stick with me a little bit longer. Okay, we're almost there. Biden camp suggests that President quickly endorsed Kamala Harris to defy Barack Obama. Again, this is by Isabel Stone and another reporter at the Post, Sarah Nathan. Okay. There's buzz swirling within the Biden camp that the president's swift endorsement of Kamala Harris was his revenge on prominent party leaders, including Barack Obama, who pressured him to bow out of the race against his will, sources told the Post. Joe Biden, who said he was dropping out in defense of democracy during his public address Wednesday, had been told by Obama to allow delegates at next month's DNC in Chicago to decide a new candidate, a source close to the Biden family claimed. Which, all right, now this goes to that theory that was floating around out there. Obama wanted the delegates at the convention to decide a new nominee. If not a compressed primary, for sure, an open convention. Okay. which, by the way, would have been fascinating to watch. It really would have. The horse trading, the application of old convention rules. I mean, for old political junkies like me, I'd have been like in seven heaven. Okay. However, Biden may have short-circuited the whole process just to PO a bunch of people. Quote, it was Joe's big FU. The source said, Joe said, if I'm out, then I'm endorsing her. Talk among insiders is that Biden saw this as a final way to assert some control over his ouster. Now, we've gone through a lot of articles, and I wanted to get you guys up to speed, not necessarily regulars of the electronic front porch, but people maybe who are watching this and you're like, but Brian, why are you revisiting all this? Why are you setting all this up? All right, here we go. Okay. If what Isabel Vincent and Sarah Nathan and Seymour Hersh are reporting is true, that Joe was forced out at the hands of Barack Obama in an effort greenlit by Kamala Harris, and Joe endorsed Kamala as his way of flipping Barack the Delaware finger of friendship, then it kind of explains what's going on right now, because I'm prepared to submit to you the following. Joe Biden is out there torpedoing Kamala Harris. What? What you say? That's madness. They're Democrats. She's a Democrat. Joe Biden's a Democrat. Barack Obama's a Democrat. They wouldn't do this to each other. They want to win too badly. They may want to win. But Joe is pissed. He's still angry. He's still upset. And I've got some proof for my theory here in a minute. But before we get to that, let me do a real quick commercial since we're almost at the top of the hour. If you are stopping by this live stream, okay, and you are here wondering who is that handsome devil in the fedora and the vest and the fabulous looking shirt. Well, first of all, my name is Brian Trippett. This is Chattin on the Porch, a live stream where we get together through the evenings, Monday through Thursday usually, and we talk about the news, and we give our opinions, and we try and say what we're all thinking, share it far and wide. So, in an effort to share it far and wide, please, number one, do me the following. Subscribe to my channel. Number two, share the link. Number three, hit the thumbs up. Number four, leave a comment. All of that would help me out tremendously. All right. So, Joe Biden's pissed. He's been forced out, supposedly at the hands of Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, with, fellow political knife wielders, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries in tow. All right. Now, which one of them was the Brutus to this Julius Caesar, we'll never quite know. Okay. So, yes, and I see, I've always said Joe Biden is a lot of things, but he is a mean, petty SOB. And being forced out of a race that he thought he could still win just because he had one bad debate night, I don't care at what level of cognitive problems he's got. He's still PO'd over what happened. Now, you sit there and ask me the question, come on, Brian, what proof have you got Joe's doing this? Okay, I'll show you. Have you noticed something very odd about the working relationship between the Kamala Harris campaign and the Joe Biden White House? Now, we've got a situation that we really haven't had, and frankly, I'm trying to think here. We haven't had this kind of situation really since 1988, when a sitting I take that back, year 2000, when Al Gore tried to succeed Bill Clinton. Okay. And even though it's been almost 25 years, by and large, okay, Bill didn't do anything to go out of his way to make, at least in my recollection, I could be wrong about this, but in my recollection, Bill Clinton didn't go out of his way to cause Al Gore that much problem. Okay, there's sort of a smooth kind of a feel between Gore's campaign and the Clinton White House, right? I mean, we were coming off the 90s, the era of good feelings. We had relative peace in the world. Yes, Bill Clinton was a horn dog. We went through an impeachment scandal over it. But I mean, by and large, America's economy was good. People were making money. We're at peace around the world. We'd come off the Cold War. Life's good, right? And you could go back to 1988 when Poppy Bush was trying to succeed Reagan. Reagan's 2 terms have been relatively peaceful. Yeah, there'd been Iran-Contra, but we had just defeated. We were right on the edge of seeing the old Iron Curtain fall. The Warsaw Pact was about to come apart. Poppy Bush ran a very effective campaign, and there was like a kind of a smooth dynamic between the Reagan White House and, Poppy Bush's campaign. Folks, I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen a situation quite like I'm watching with the Kamala Harris campaign and the Biden White House. And what I'm getting at is this. I want to show you an article that ran a couple of days ago in Axios.com. Behind the Curtain, the Harris Plan to Redefine Herself. Article by Mike Allen and Jim Vandehei, the 2 principal, writers or owners of Axios. And this article ran, let me find this, a couple of days ago. Oh, yeah, it was yesterday, actually. I'm sorry, I take that back. Okay. Vice President Kamala Harris hoping to distance herself from Joe Biden's unpopularity on the economy, plans a new focus on middle-class worries and woes. Okay, kind of makes sense. You would expect that. She's trying to step out of the shadow of Joe Biden, be her own woman, be her own candidate. You would kind of expect this to happen. This makes sense. Let's go back to the article. Beginning in North Carolina later this week with her first policy speech and continuing next week with the Democrat convention in Chicago, Harris will tell Americans, most for the first time, who she is and how she'd govern. Harris won't say it this bluntly in public, but her advisors do so privately. She wants to break with Biden on issues on which he's unpopular. Now, notice what's being said here. First up, rising prices. This is part of a highly choreographed effort to define herself, in some cases redefine herself, as a different kind of Democrat. On Friday in Raleigh, North Carolina, she'll outline plans to lower costs of healthcare, housing, and food for middle-class consumers and tell how she'll take on corporate price gouging. Now, by the way, have you heard about the first leg of the plan? Price controls. She wants to put price controls on food. She wants to go after food manufacturers who she says are gouging. Now, guys, Robin McCutcheon is a far better economist than I am, but even I've got the good common sense to know that when you put price controls on, 2 things happen. Number 1, the commodity that you've put the price control on becomes more scarce, and number 2, inevitably the price goes up. Okay? TBA says, yawn. Harris is an old-time Marxist. Price controls will destroy our economy. Exactly. Okay? This is just one of her ideas. It's a horrible idea. But the gist of this article is she's trying to separate herself from Joe Biden. She's trying to define herself, redefine herself, show people she's a different kind of Democrat, that she's not Joe Biden. She's trying to step away from the unpopularity of some of Joe Biden's policies. There's just one little problem with all that. Joe Biden's not letting her do it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden is out there right now publicly, might I add, saying, hey, no, this is the Biden-Harris record. she's just as much a part of this as I am. And you don't believe me? Watch this. I've got a clip that's going to start proving my point here. Okay? So Joe Biden is leaving to get on Marine One. He's just outside the White House. He's taking questions from the press. Okay? And he gets asked a question by Peter Doocy. Now, this clip runs about 12 seconds, but I want you guys to hear this. Listen very carefully to what Joe Biden says when he's asked this question by Fox News' Peter Doocy. And here we go.
How much does it bother you that Vice President Harris might soon, for political reasons, start to distance herself from your economic...
She's not going to.
You don't think she's going to?
Well, okay, I want to play that again. Now, let me set this up. Peter Doocy says, how much does it bother you? How much does it bother you that for political reasons that Kamala Harris might be trying to distance herself from your policies? I want to play this again. I want you guys to listen very carefully to what he's asked, and more particularly, how he answers this. Watch.
How much does it bother you that Vice President Harris might soon, for political reasons, start to distance herself from your economic...
She's not going to.
You don't think she's going to, Mr. President?
She's not going to. Did you catch that? She's not going to. Now, you might sit there and say to yourself, and you'd be totally justified to do it. This is an 81-year-old president. He's in his last days of office. Some smart-alecky young reporter comes up. How are you going to feel when Kamala Harris, for political reasons, starts to distance herself from your policies? She's not going to do that. All right, maybe it was a defensive reflex, okay? But I don't think it was. One of two things is at work here, okay? Either A, he really believes she's not going to do it, or B, he knows she's going to, and he's just trying to lay down cover for her. I don't think that's the case. I think there's option number 3. He knows she might be getting ready to try and do it, and he's not going to let her. By God, we did this together. This is our record, and you're going to run on it. Now, is that the smart thing for him to do on her behalf? No. Is it what he wants it understood? Yeah. Now, you might sit there and say, come on, that's one clip. That doesn't prove that he's trying to sabotage her. Okay. All right. You don't believe him? Here's an exchange, again, between Peter Doocy and Karine Jean-Claude Van Damme-Pierre, the White House press secretary. This runs about 7 seconds. Just listen to this.
But again, they've been aligned. They've been aligned for the last 3.5 years. There's not been any daylight.
Now, notice what she says talking about the relationship between Biden and Harris. Okay, I'm going to play this again because it is worth paying attention to here.
But again, they've been aligned. They've been aligned for the last 3.5 years. There's not been any daylight.
They've been aligned for the past 3.5 years. There is no daylight between them. Ladies and gentlemen, if Kamala is trying to get some separation between herself and Joe Biden's not helping her out right now. His White House is not helping her out right now. Okay? Remember what I said about Al Gore and Bill Clinton? By and large, Bill did not give Al too much trouble in the 2000 campaign. He didn't really do anything, to put the banana peel out in front of his foot, or stick the knife in his back, whatever analogy you want to use. Okay? He didn't do it. He let Al Gore run his own campaign. He may disagree with how he was doing it, but, it's Al Gore's campaign. My time is done. I've done my 2 terms. I'm on my way out the door. Same thing with Reagan and Poppy Bush. But if what Axios is reporting is correct, and she's trying to be her own candidate, her own woman, have her own policies, then why is the Biden White House so trying to tie her to Joe. I mean, you could take the one clip out in front of the White House. Joe Biden said she's not going to separate herself from my policy. You just say, yeah, he's just being defensive. You know, he and Peter Doocy have never had a good working relationship, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's one thing. Now you've got the White House press secretary saying, hey, you know, they've been working like, you know, they're like peas in a pod for 3.5 years. There's no daylight in between the two of them for the past 3.5 years. Whoa, somebody didn't get the memo. Now, again, more evidence of this? Okay. All right. Again, maybe I'm just picking on one source here, but it's worth talking about. Okay. Got a clip here. Runs about a minute or so. Doocy's giving a report outside of the White House. And again, I know I'm using Doocy a little too much for this, but what he's reporting is kind of making sense if you start thinking about it. Listen to this.
Karine Jean-Pierre does not think it is old being the only person who is actually having to answer.
I had a reason why I was starting at the point I did. Okay. This is an exchange between Doocy and Jean-Claude Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre, excuse me. I'm too used to trying to tie her to Jean-Claude Van Damme. All right. Here we go.
Axios is now reporting that she is hoping to distance herself from President Biden's unpopularity on the economy. Can you blame her?
Do you know this is the Biden-Harris administration? Are you aware that this is the Biden-Harris administration? And she is indeed the vice president.
But if the president's policies on the economy were working, or if they were popular, wouldn't he still be the candidate?
You literally just had the chair of the CEA here who laid out a pretty robust point by point about the economy and what has happened under the Biden-Harris administration.
President,
notice what Karine Jean-Pierre is saying. The Biden-Harris administration. They're not giving her any daylight here. TBA asked me the question, what is your assessment, Brian, of why the Biden White House is trying to reel Harris back into the fold? Okay, I don't think they're trying to reel her back into the fold. I think they're trying to make sure that she's tied to Biden. This isn't a matter of reeling her back into the fold. I mean, look, I'm just going to say out and out say it. I think Biden is trying to sabotage her. Now, I know everyone's going to say that I'm absolutely out of my gourd on this one, that you know, I bought a hat for myself where the headband was too tight and it's squeezing the blood right out of my brain. But I'm telling you right now, he's trying to put the knife in her back. Look, I know that Joe Biden has cognitive issues, okay? I get it. But there are moments when that man is lucid, and when he is, he's angry. He's mad. He's sitting around and he's stewing on it. He's stewing on the fact that they pushed him out of a first term, by his own words, that he felt where he had major accomplishments, okay, that he had significant things done. He had more things left to do in a second term, and they pushed him out. I think Isabella Vincent of the New York Post is absolutely right in her reporting. His endorsement of Kamala Harris was to short-circuit Barack Obama's effort to get the candidate of his choice to replace him. It's the world's biggest. There you go. I mean, again, maybe I'm wrong. Time will prove one way or the other, okay? But he's doing his, I mean, put you this way, if I may use a politically incorrect analogy. Right now, Joe Biden is Tar Baby. Kamala Harris is Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit is doing everything she can to get herself loose of Joe Biden, the Tar Baby. She's stuck on him, and Joe Biden is going to make sure she stays stuck. I am telling you, and again, maybe I'm absolutely off my rocker here, but the more I keep looking at this, the more I keep coming to the conclusion that he is trying to make sure everybody knows, hey, It's the Biden-Harris administration. She worked with me. That Inflation Reduction Act, hey, she helped me do it. I mean, he's not coming out that blatantly and saying it, but that's exactly what he's doing here. And remember what I said. He's not going to go to the convention and get up and give a speech and said, yeah, by the way, everybody, if you want to know why I'm not running anymore, it's because Barack Obama's an SOB and he forced me out of the race. He's not going to do that, but he and his people are going to go behind the scenes. They're going behind the scenes and they're monkeying up the gears. And again, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I've lost my marbles here. But the more I keep watching Biden and his White House, they keep trying to tie Kamala to Biden. Whereas she, on the other hand, she's trying to get loose of him. And she can't do it because every time Joe turns around, it's like, yeah, she's not going to betray my agenda. Absolutely not. Karine Jean-Pierre. No, there's no daylight in between them for the past 3.5 years. There's not an ounce of daylight between these two individuals. They've been working hand in hand together. Now, lest you think that this is just confined to Joe and Karine Jean-Pierre, I got a clip here from Susan Rice, who up until 2023 was working inside the Biden White House. This thing runs about 1.5 minutes, but every bit of it is worth it. She's giving an interview with Andrea Mitchell of MSNBC. Listen to this.
I think it's very important to remember that this has been the Biden-Harris agenda. Kamala Harris has been an integral architect and executor of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration.
Are you hearing what they're doing to her right now? With friends like this, who needs enemies? They won't turn her loose. Biden's people will not turn her loose. She's trying desperately to get away from them. Biden's people won't let her do it. Biden won't let her do it. And it's stuff like this that as it starts to get out in the ether, everyone's going to realize, oh crap, we got a problem here. Joe, shut up. Anyway, back to the clip. There's more of this.
And when you talk about the important business that she is committed to continuing and finishing, things like paid family leave, making permanent the child tax credit, making child care more affordable, raising the minimum wage, respecting workers, and helping to strengthen unions. These are elements of a policy framework that she devised as part of a key part of the Biden administration. And
that she devised as a key part of the Biden administration. My God, the Democrats are doing a more effective job of tying Kamala to Joe than the Republicans are. Good God. Like I said, with friends like this.
Is keen to see through to the finish line. So there will be important, as there should be, aspects of continuity in many policy areas. But of course, the vice president will outline her vision and where she sees opportunities to advance their collective agenda, the Biden-Harris collective agenda, and take it further forward. I think we all look forward to hearing that. But this notion that she somehow doesn't deserve credit for and isn't part of and wasn't an integral architect of the Biden-Harris administration agenda is not only false, it's frankly somewhat bizarre and offensive. I think it's very important.
Are you listening to this? Oh my God. The last 15, that was one of those things where, frankly, Susan Rice, if she was trying to help Kamala Harris out, she should have just kept her mouth shut. TBA asks, why will Biden not turn her loose? All right, let me be very clear here. I want to, because I know how I am. I get excited and I get very imprecise with my language. It's not an issue that Biden won't turn loose of her. In other words, Biden knows that she's got to stand on her own as a candidate. Okay? It's not an issue that Biden won't turn loose of her to be her own candidate. It's an issue he does not want to. He wants to make sure everyone knows that it was the Biden-Harris administration. He wants everyone to understand that these policies, they did them together. She was an integral part of his administration. Okay? Yeah, I think Barack Obama absolutely wanted Mark Kelly of Arizona if he could have got him, according to reports. Yeah, and Ruben, I genuinely do. And it's not just Susan Rice unto herself. I'm telling you, there is a war going on right now inside the Democrat Party. Now, there's a bunch of, it's on different fronts. But one of the fronts, and this is what I'm focusing on right now tonight, there is a fight between the Biden people and the Barack Obama, Kamala Harris wing of the party. Okay? Joe got screwed. Joe knows he got screwed. Joe knows he let himself get screwed. Okay? And when I say he let himself get screwed, if what Isabella Vincent of the New York Post and Seymour Hersh are reporting is correct, and keep in mind, they have done this independent of each other. If what they are reporting is true, Kamala Harris greenlit the effort to get Biden out. She basically told Obama, yeah, I can get the cabinet to vote for the 25th Amendment. Take the message to him. Obama delivers the message. Joe is forced out. He knows what was done to him. He knows that Barack Obama wanted to install somebody else as the candidate. Joe Biden short-circuited that effort by putting in Kamala Harris. And now, just to make sure everybody gets their just dessert, he's not helping her. Oh, he's helping her. They did a campaign appearance today. Great. Whoop-de-doo. They took his campaign money that he raised, by the way, that $95 million, just sort of off to Kamala, took his campaign money, took his campaign away from him. Don't you think that old man's not going to try and get even? Oh, come on. They're Democrats. They work together. They want to keep the presidency, yada, yada, yada. Oh, no. Joe Biden's got nothing to lose here. Okay? Absolutely nothing. I'm telling you, there is an absolute sabotage effort at work here. If not by Joe Biden, by his own people. I'm telling you, there is a war going on right now. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. If Joe Biden were truly interested in making sure that Kamala Harris has the best chance to succeed, he wouldn't be making the comments he's making right now. Karine Jean-Pierre would not be making the comments she's making from the White House press room right now. Susan Rice wouldn't be out there giving interviews touting how much that Kamala Harris is as much a part of the Biden administration as Joe Biden was. They are absolutely making sure that Brer Kamala is stuck to Tar Biden. And they're not going to let her get loose. They're going to make sure everybody knows, yes, by George, she was right there with me, helping me get it all done. She helped me pass the Inflation Reduction Act. She gave me the advice on how to withdraw from Afghanistan. She's the one that helped me out on the southern border by being the border czar. She did all of it. And they're going to be proud of the fact she did, and they're going to make sure you know about it. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think we've got a civil war going on right now, which, by the way, we got a couple of more stories here in a little bit. If you think this front of the Democrat civil war is bad, wait till what's coming in Chicago. Okay? Ruben, you called it a long time ago, brother. You called it a long time ago. You said that the convention has the potential to be an absolute shit show. Dude, you may be absolutely right. I think he is. I think he is to some degree. I really do. I think right now he's trying to figure out how to deal with Kamala. Maybe he's already got a strategy for it. I don't know. But I think, and we're going to get to some of that here in just a second. Now, Yeah, that's why, in part, that's why I think, Rhonda, that's why I think that, Donald Trump is dropping comments on Truth Social and other places telling people, yeah, Joe Biden's PO'd right now. He hates Obama and Kamala worse than he hates me. WWG1 says, never interrupt the enemy while they're destroying themselves. Amen to that. Amen to that. He's a good strategist. I don't know about ultimate strategist, but he's good. He is good. Now, let's get to something else that's going on right now. Kamala's got another problem that's developing. And I will give J.D. Vance and Donald Trump a heck of a lot of credit right now. Now, there's some things that are going on in the campaign I'm not real happy about. But there's one thing they're doing right now, and it's becoming very effective. Okay? J.D. Vance is out there giving press conferences to anybody who will put a microphone under his nose. He's everywhere. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, everywhere talking to voters. He's talking to the press. He's out there taking questions. He's out there, and he's getting off some of the best zingers I've heard in a while. Okay? Absolutely. Donald Trump gives a press conference down at Mar-a-Lago, gives one today out of Bedminster, which we'll have some of those clips on Saturday, by the way. Didn't have enough time to put everything together the way I wanted to, but we'll have a few of them for Saturday for sure. I know you're there, brother. I know you're there, brother. Yeah, it's about. I've got a story coming up here. It's just right up. It's just right up. Gypsy asks, what do you think about the monkeypox announcement from the World Health Organization? Because I think I learned something disturbing this morning. I think somebody's trying to ramp up, the whole, oh my God, monkeypox, we've got to do something. We can't let people vote in person. Yeah, but monkeypox is only spread by a certain physical activity. And this is going to interrupt the election. I'm not saying it's not going to try to be used. I mean, at this point, the Democrats, progressives, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, they are desperate. I mean, you're going to see stuff get turned loose in the next 80 days that you ain't never seen in a presidential election. That you would have thought, would never happen in the United States. I'm worried about September 18th when Marshawn hands down his sentence on Trump. That's what I'm keeping an eye on. Okay? Aerosoled. Ooh. Okay. I saw your comment, Gypsy. That's a little frightening. Just saying. But Kamala's got another problem right now, and it's becoming very noticeable. And the way that Trump and Vance are doing it, they're kind of saying it without saying it. But given it's Donald Trump, of course he's going to say it. And that is, Kamala won't talk to the press. Now, a lot of people will hear that and say, well, Brian, big deal. The press is supporting Kamala Harris, yada, yada, yada. What difference does it make? Well, it makes a difference when everybody starts picking up on the fact that she's not talking to the press. Okay? Got a clip here, and it just gives you an example of the lengths that Kamala Harris is going to avoid talking to the press. Okay? Gypsy says on Rumble, I've heard that the monkeypox virus has been aerosolized and plans to drop in open arenas, concerts, big gatherings. My source is normally 80% right. Ooh. I don't dispute the accuracy of your source, but let me just say, I really hope they're wrong, because if that's the case, holy cow. And again, I'm not denigrating what you're saying, Gypsy. I'm just saying, I really hope they're wrong in this case. Peter Ducey, again, the intrepid White House correspondent on behalf of Fox News. Listen to this.
And something new tonight, as the presumptive nominee, Vice President Harris is supposed to travel everywhere she goes with a protective press pool. We just learned that she left her press pool behind to attend an event at Howard University yesterday. We've reached out to her office. We are waiting back. We are awaiting an answer back from them as to why she didn't want a small group of reporters documenting her trip across town.
Now, keep in mind, this is just in Washington, D.C., okay? She'd be going from the Naval Observatory to this event at Howard University and back. She is supposed to have a dedicated group of reporters traveling with her all the time. But it is so bad right now inside the Harris campaign that they are ditching the hand-picked reporters that are to travel around with her from event to event to event. And they just took off on their own. They got in the motorcades like, screw you, we're out of here. So she goes over there, does a press event at an event, not necessarily a press event. She does an event at Howard University, and nobody knows what in the hell she said. Hey, Washington Post, I thought democracy dies in darkness. That's about as dark as it gets when one of your own reporters isn't even allowed to go with her, which I almost guarantee you that the Washington Post would have a reporter dedicated to her press gaggle. So she just skips out on the press gaggle, takes off for Howard University, takes nobody with her, does an event, and comes back. Now, you might sit there and say, again, it's Peter Doocy, it's Fox News, there you go, Front Porch. You're being a right-wing troll, you're being a right-wing conspiracy theorist, yada, yada, yada. No, I'm not the only one that's noticing this. This is an exchange on CNN between one of their reporters, I think it's one of their morning reporters, and a representative of the Biden-Harris campaign. Now, it's one thing if Peter Doocy is out there giving, the Harris campaign grief. You can say, well, he's a right-winger, he's got an axe to grind, yada, yada, yada. It's another thing when CNN starts picking up on this. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this exchange.
What's on the vice president's schedule today?
Now, have you ever had someone ask you a question and they knew what they really wanted to ask you, but you knew from the moment they asked you the first question, they were setting you up for something? That is what this is. He's setting her up. What's on the vice president's schedule today? So with that, back to the clip.
Well, she's traveling and talking to voters and getting her message out there to the American people, something that she's been doing from the very start of this campaign and something that she certainly did when she was President Biden's running mate as vice president. But look, you just mentioned the speech she's going to be giving
but that's right. I was asking about today, and I don't think she's got any campaign events on the schedule today, does she?
I love that. Well, but I was asking you about today. I don't think she's got anything on the schedule today, does she? See where he's going with this? Anyway, back to because this is pricelessly funny watching her try to talk her way through this thing. Okay, because now you're about to get the blah 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 blah, and then here he comes in for the coup de grace.
Well, she and Governor Walz have been traveling across the country. They hit nearly every battleground state last week. On the campaign trail, they raised $36 million within the first 24 hours by Governor Walz joining the ticket. And what she's going to be doing Friday is taking her economic message directly to the voters in North Carolina. I certainly don't want to get in front of exactly what she's going to say, but she's going to talk a little bit about how she's going to make sure that she's putting consumers first as part of her economic plan. She's going to take on corporate price gougers. She's going to take on junk fees. And that's something that, John, she did when she was Attorney General of California, something she continued to do as the United States Senator of California. So she's going to be taking that message out to voters. And I look forward to seeing more of what she's going to say on Friday.
Okay, now here it comes. Listen to what he says next.
I think we all do, and I'll ask you more about that in just a second. The reason I was asking about today is because it seems like she has time if she wanted to do an interview. with a member of the media or do a news conference, correct? There does appear to be that time if she wanted.
Well, look, she has said on the campaign trail that she would be doing an interview at some point. She said that, I think, last week during a rope line or when she was talking to reporters. But look, what is important here, John, is that she is taking her message directly to the American people.
But she won't let anyone put what she's taking to the American people under scrutiny. Okay, look. Do I know that the press is in the bag for Kamala Harris? Yes, I do. Okay. But even being in the bag, these people are going to ask questions that ought to be asked. They want to, well, maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe Sasha Stone's absolutely right. Maybe they don't want to ask the questions. Maybe they just don't care. But the more that this comes up, people are starting to notice. Now, that's just one exchange. That's CNN. I got another one here from CNN. Jim Acosta, everyone's favorite White House correspondent, or he was during the Trump administration. He's got an exchange with one of her surrogates from the campaign. This one's great. I mean, Acosta, say what you want to about the guy, but he's absolutely fantastic in this. Watch this.
Would it kill you guys to have a press conference? Why hasn't she had a press conference?
That's great. Would it kill you guys to have a press conference? Why is she not having a press conference? That's great. Listen to this.
Listen, the Vice President and Governor Walz have been busy crisscrossing this country since the launch of this campaign and adding Governor Walz to the ticket. You saw the ways in which they went across the battleground states last week, generating rallies of thousands, 10,000 here, 15,000 there. But
Michael, a campaign rally is not a press conference.
A campaign rally is not a press conference. Go on, Jim. Get him.
Inclusive.
Do you mind if I cut in? I mean, a campaign rally is not a press conference. Why hasn't she had a press conference? She's the vice president. She can handle the questions. Why not do it?
We absolutely are going to do it. You hear her take questions as she's out on the stump. And she said last week, we're going to be having a sit-down interview here before the end of the month. What she's going to be focused on and what this campaign is going to be focused on is communicating directly with the voters that are actually going to decide the pathway to 270 electoral votes.
But again, not in front of the press. Everybody's picking up on this. CNN's picking up on this. Fox News is picking up on this. Independent content creators are picking up on this. Everybody notices she won't talk to the press. Okay? Now, again, you can say it's right, wrong, otherwise. I get it. I understand. But it's becoming painfully obvious. Okay? And you start to understand why. Ruben just sent me something here, and I've got a feeling this is going to be humorous and important all at the same time. She could have much needed shot of legitimacy, but yeah, exactly. But she's not doing it. And you know what? My friend Ruben here may have the reason why. Hang on, folks. Let me get this teed up because this looks just downright good. Hang on a minute. Why is she not talking to the press? Well, there could be a very good reason. If this is what you're going to get with a Kamala Harris talking to the press, you might begin to understand why.
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
No. Could it be that they are afraid of that? Yes, my dear. Cacklegasms galore. Thank you, Ruben. I mean, and that goes on for another 2 minutes. Somebody put that together. It's just TBA asks, this is a really good question, TBA. Why are the mainstream media anchors turning on Harris? 2 weeks ago, none of them cared. That is a great question. Okay, Midmo, don't worry. I'm not going to play the other 2 minutes of it. I will not do that. Yeah, I agree. Cringe AF. AF. Absolutely. Yeah, I think they are. I absolutely think you're right. They're scared to death of letting her loose. When I say let her loose, they are afraid of her going before a microphone and having an unscripted moment. And there's kind of a reason for that. They think she's going to revert. Or it may very well be that she was a victim of the Joker's laughing gas. You might be onto something there, small time, and good to have you here with us tonight. Yeah, I mean, they are terrified. Or somebody's terrified of letting her in front of a microphone. I mean, it got so bad at one point during the White House press briefing. Ducey posited this question to Karine Jean-Pierre. Check this out.
2 days.
The vice president's team is not holding any press briefings. You are left to answer everything for her, even though you are not the vice president's press secretary. Is that getting old?
No. Let me tell you something. I'm the White House press secretary, as you all know, obviously, for the president, for this administration, for the Biden-Harris administration. It is an honor.
Notice what she said, Biden-Harris administration. They're not letting go of that, guys. Biden's people are absolutely sticking Harris's name to Biden. Now, again, maybe it's protocol that demands that she has to say it that way. But wouldn't you think she could find a way to just linguistically sort of slice off Harris and just kind of, sweep it under the rug? Anyway, back to the clip.
And a privilege, you hear me say this all the time, honor and privilege to stand before you to be able to do that job. And I will do it as long as I can, right to the end of this term. And as it relates to the vice president, she certainly has been on the road. She has taken questions from some of you and doing her gaggles. You have seen.
No, she has not. She's not talking to anybody, Karine. Now, I was giving you credit up till a moment ago, but you're going to start doing that sort of nonsense. I'm going to call you out on it. You know very good and well that this woman has not said boo one word to the press. She's only doing rallies. She's only doing it in front of a teleprompter. And even then, she's getting some unfriendly treatment from her audience, which, friends, what we've got coming up in a minute or two, this is going to get real interesting. Anyway, back to the clip.
Her, that is something, as anything specific about interview, you certainly would have to reach out to her campaign, but I am proud to be standing here at this podium behind this lectern on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration.
Okay. Everybody's picking up on it. Mainstream media is starting to give her grief about this. They're giving everybody grief about this. They're giving her campaign surrogates grief about this. They're giving her campaign staff grief about this. Jim Acosta's looking at, Michael Taylor of the Harris campaign going, would it kill you guys to have a press conference? TBA says over on Rumble, don't you see that the mainstream media are taking sides, one side for Harris and the other side tearing her down? I don't know about tearing her down, but they're not doing her any favors, much like Biden, by the way. Part of me still thinks they swapped him out. Yeah, true that. And this is a very good point, too. He hasn't stepped down. He has all the powers of the presidency. All the powers of the presidency. Now, we're sitting here focusing on, she's not giving press interviews. We're focusing on the fact that Biden's out there, at least in my theory, putting the knife in her back politically. Before we go on. Now, lest you think that it's just, political guys like me watching this stuff, making this observation, or people in the press, I got a clip here from Stephen A. Smith, who is really one of my favorites. Now, and I say one of my favorites, he reminds me, the way I like to describe Stephen is he is the 21st century version of Howard Cosell. Controversial, opinionated, he will tell you what he thinks. God help you if you're not ready to hear it. But I want you, now Stephen A. Smith is on his own podcast, The Stephen A. Smith Show, and sometimes he gets into political topics, okay? But I tell you what, if you think it's just the mainstream press that's giving the Harris campaign grief over this, and you think, well, come on, Front Porch, you're making too much of this. People aren't really noticing this. I beg to differ, and if you want proof of that, listen to this.
Now, Joe Biden stepped aside as the presumptive Democratic nominee on July 21st. Okay? Now I'm going to look at this right now. I'm looking at my calendar because I just want to make sure. July 21st was a Sunday. We've had 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 1 day since Joe Biden stepped aside. The only damn place we've seen Kamala Harris is at pep rallies. What's up? Somebody got to say something. And it can't just be the conservatives. Right is right. I'm talking to my sister here. Come on now. You running for the presidency of the United States of America. You got my vote. You running for the presidency of the United States of America. What you hiding for? And I mean hiding in plain sight. Somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. Now, you can't be running for the presidency of the United States. Not one single press conference, not one single one-on-one sit-down interview where somebody gets to question you about the questions that we ask. That's not fair. That's not fair. And if you're a conservative and you out there lambasting her for it, ridiculing her for it, trying to torment her for it or whatever, it is perfectly within your right to do so. All of you anti-conservatives out there, shut the hell up. That's a valid point. It ain't valid to bring up a blackness or an Indian heritage and to try to point to things of that nature. That's nonsense. But to ask her about her record, because she is attached to the Biden record, is definitely apropos, especially when you were bragging about the record. We talked about Biden being a transformative president. Well, stand on it then. Stand on it. Where you at?
And you know what? You can give me grief all you want to, but Stephen A. Smith, look, Stephen A. Smith is no conservative by any stretch of the imagination, okay? But right's right. He's absolutely correct in what he's saying here. And I love the way he puts it. You pro-Harris people, shut up. These people, anti-Harris, they're absolutely correct in their point. Thank you, Stephen. Not that I needed you to tell me that, but I appreciate it. Well, okay, but the point is, he's saying what I'm saying, what most people on the political right are saying, some people in the mainstream media are saying. Why is this woman not talking to the press? You got one of her supporters out there saying it. This is crazy. And folks, she can't do it. She'll try it, but there's no way that woman can go 80 plus days and not have to stand before the press. And that is terrifying to her handlers and her campaign staff. In the same way that Joe Biden might have some kind of verbal gaffe, might fall down, might have something that shows his weakness as a candidate, the same thing could happen to her. They are terrified of this possibility. I'm telling you, they can't. They just can't. Now, while all this is going on, there are some voters out there that have some things on their mind. And by the way, Kamala Harris, these people would like to hear from you. And with that, just check this out.
How hard has inflation hit you?
It hit me hard. It's hitting me hard.
Who do you blame for it?
I blame the federal government at this point. If a working class mom who works as a paralegal cannot buy a $2 bell pepper because it's now $5, imagine a mother living on food stamps. Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children. They're killing us without killing us. If you understand that. They're killing us without telling us they're killing us. They're hurting people in ways that they can't help themselves. It's either feed my child or how about feed my children and I don't eat, but I have to go work.
You know, there's a lot of things can be said to that clip, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and make fun of that lady or where she's coming from, because I mean, she's walking in her own set of shoes, you know, but she's getting it. Yeah. Okay. Fair point. Fair point. The government creates the problem. We all scream for the solution. This clip is not what you think it is. No. She understands the problem. She just doesn't understand who's causing it or what's causing it. Got another one here. And I haven't watched this one all the way through, but I think I want to see this, because check this one out.
I'm 20 years old. Why is a one-bedroom apartment $600, $1,600? Like, oh my God, for 500 square foot.
One at a time, I said. Yep.
Rent prices is outrageous. And then these jobs, they're bare minimum jobs. Like, I'm supposed to be in customer service. Before I was a server, I was working at like fast food restaurants, and nothing against them, love it, but we need them jobs. But why are you yelling at me over a burger? So it's one of those type of things. It's like the work life, trying to balance out school, trying to balance out finding housing. It's just overhyped. Like, I really waited my whole life to grow up and do this.
They can put her, Kamala, in front of all the loving, cacklegasm-induced crowds they want to. They can hype her all they want. They can have rappers doing shows before she comes out. They can have, indie folk singer concert, whatever it is. Okay. Whatever the kids are doing these days. But in the end, these are the voters that want answers. Now, you may not agree with their reasoning, which, okay, fine, we can have that argument. But these are the voters that she's ducking. These are the people who are hurting, and they're hurting because of her. And, to go back to Gypsy's point, the government creates the problem, and now Kamala's going to come along and say, well, government can now solve the problem. No, the government caused the problem, and you're the government, Kamala. Hey, Joe, I'm glad you're proud of your record. Let's absolutely make sure everybody knows that Kamala was a part of it. Let's do it. Let's do it, baby. Now, I said that this civil war inside the Democrat Party has several different fronts right now. Well, there's another one that's about to rear its ugly head, and my good buddy Ruben, who is up in Chicago, is about to get a absolutely, dear, absolutely, and hopefully they'll have enough welfare cheese for all of us. I remember that. I remember my grandma going and going for a block of cheese. I remember that story. I was there. Anyhow. Yeah, good point. That's a good point. And it's getting around. I said there's multiple fronts to this problem. The problem with Kamala comes down to one phrase of her own. Once I'm elected, I will insert here. Oh, Kamala, you are in office now. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly, my friend. I agree completely. And speaking of my good friend, Mr. Rubin, man about town, Reuben, get ready, brother, because Chicago, according to reports, is bracing for chaos. Courtrooms are prepared for mass arrests as Chicago police expect as many as 100,000 pro-Palestinian protesters during the DNC. Article by Jim Hoft, we have the following. The 2024 DNC is scheduled to take place from August 19th through the 22nd. The event will be held in Chicago, Illinois. The convention is expected to celebrate Kamala Harris as the presumptive Democrat nominee and Tim Walz as the nominee for Veep. However, the city is bracing for what could be a perfect storm of chaos, with the possibility of up to 100,000 pro-Hamas protesters flooding the streets. The Chicago Police Department is preparing for the worst. According to WGN9, quote, leaders of 4 Muslim organizations say they're expecting upwards of 100,000 demonstrators to take part in a number of protests during the DNC. The news outlet added that 3 main protests are being planned for Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the first and last days of the convention. More than 150 organizations from around the country say they have formed a collective to have these protests be as large in number as possible. And while they represent a number of different interests, they say they will be focused on the Israeli-Palestinian war. The city's preparation includes the transformation of a disused courtroom to streamline the process of mass arrest during the DNC, according to News Nation Now. News Nation reports protesters arrested marching at the DNC will be brought to a police station 5 miles north of the United Center, where many of the conference's events will be taking place. The once defunct courtroom in the station can now hold nearly 100 people. Oh, God. I was right. An additional 30 courtrooms have been cleared out. In the very unlikely case, the first one overflows. According to city officials, recent events have given the Chicago Police Department a dry run in handling mass arrests and how the Pretrial Fairness Act operates in these circumstances. In May, about 50 people were arrested during a pride event. Juveniles were sent to juvenile court. Some of them were cleared. Maribio's statement not to release the protesters quickly could potentially violate the new Pretrial Fairness Act signed by Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker. Illinois has become the first state in the United States to abolish cash bail. Oh, people, we are potentially headed for a glorious show. Folks, I am telling you, and I'm not saying everything's wine and roses on the right side of the political spectrum where this campaign is concerned, but I'm telling you right now, the Democrats are in deep doo-doo. Very deep doo-doo. Doo-doo of their own making, by the way. The knives are out for Kamala from inside the Democrat Party, and if that ain't bad enough, you got this. I'm telling you, I mean, the 68 convention in Chicago was remembered for all the protesters outside the hall protesting the Vietnam War. Now you could wind up having another war being protested, of which America is not directly involved, but has an ally in the middle of it, and it could wind up blowing up the convention. Now, don't get me wrong. They're going to have the cameras trained inside the hall. If they bring 100,000 people to Chicago over the course of 3 days, there ain't no way this doesn't go reported. There will be cameras on this. So, oh goodness, bless your heart, dear. Bless your heart. Wow. Wow. Yeah, folks, there's a lot of stuff coming down. A lot of stuff coming down. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night and bring this train into the station. I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your very kind words from my mom as she's going through some stuff right now. Again, nothing really, really bad, but I appreciate your patience with me as I have not been here for the past couple of days. We will be back this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. for Front Porch Brunch. And Ruben, I'm going to reach out to you, dude. I want to talk to you. I am for sure covering the Democrat National Convention next week. And I have not talked to my good buddy Ruben yet. I know he's been going through some health problems right now, but I want to kind of feel him out. Ruben, you're always welcome to a chair, as much as your mind and body will let you do it. But for sure, the Democrat National Convention will be covered on this channel. Yes, sir. I will most certainly contact you. Like I said, I don't know how you feeling, but I'm going to reach out to you. Don't worry, brother. If it's not tonight, it'll be sometime tomorrow evening. So, I will definitely give you a shout. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here, for chatting on the porch. We will be back this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. for Front Porch Brunch with more fun, hilarity, information, and overall goodwill. Anyway, love you guys. You guys stay safe. I will see you guys Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, brother. We are praying for you. So, yes. Okay, we are absolutely praying for you. In the meanwhile, you guys remember the words of that great American philosopher Tom T. Hall when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, more money." I love you guys. We'll see you Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m.